Hello, my name is Carly Runestad, and I'm the Executive Director of the Mourning Hope Grief Center. For those of you unfamiliar with our mission, Mourning Hope is a grief support network for children, teens, young adults, and their caregivers who've experienced the serious illness or death of a loved one. Our nonprofit has been operating in this wonderful community since 1994, and we offer a wide range of services to grieving children and families, all at no cost to participants. And while Mourning Hope has been in the community for over 26 years, I believe there's been no time in history where we were needed more than we are right now. Mourning Hope is providing frontline assistance to mitigate the public health crisis occurring in our community, and the need for grief support is beginning to soar. The awesome leaders at the United Way asked if I could very briefly speak to how the pandemic has impacted our agency. And like all nonprofits, Mourning Hope is struggling with this new reality that COVID has unexpectedly thrust upon us. What I really want to stress is that demand for help has significantly increased. Not only are people contacting Mourning Hope who recently experienced the death of a loved one, but we're receiving many contacts from folks who have been triggered by what's happening in the news and social media right now, and consequently are reliving their grief nightmares. Society often fails to recognize how the grief journey following a death loss is never finished for those who suffer a significant loss. Some prior Mourning Hope participants who once felt like they were successfully moving forward in their grief process are now looking for additional support. For example, right after COVID started, I had a mom approach me and say, I thought the grief from my husband's death 3 years ago was mostly behind me, but now I'm at home without him. I'm isolated, I'm alone, I'm homeschooling my 2 young children as a single parent. I'm trying to navigate my business from home as a single isolated adult. And if my husband were still alive, I wouldn't be in the house trying to manage my business and teach my kids all alone. He would be by my side and we could confront this together. My grief experience feels quadrupled at the moment because I'm doing it alone. So adults and children who were feeling well beyond their acute stage of grief are now calling Mourning Hope with responses of being propelled backwards in their healing process. Regardless of when or how the death losses occur, social distancing is triggering grief reactions for so many. Families are having to approach all death and mourning rituals differently. Many can't be present at the hospital or travel to the nursing home to see their loved one before they die. There's limited hand holding, no shared tears, no bedside vigil, or those final imparted words of love. Funerals are being held through online video platforms. Funeral home staff are instructing attendees to avoid hugging and to social distance from the body and the casket. I had another young Lincoln woman call me and say, my mom died in a nursing home in Kansas. My kids and I couldn't go and be there with her, even though my mom was begging the facility staff for me in the end. I couldn't hold her hand. She died without her family around her. And then I had to decide which of my children could attend the funeral because the funeral home was only allowing 8 people to attend the ceremony. So it is layers upon layers of complicated grief that we've not even begun to fully understand or explore as a social service field yet. And I fully believe that the aftermath of this grief crisis is inconceivable and will be felt for decades. We deeply appreciate the support from the community as we've been navigating these waters. Mourning Hope's small but mighty team immediately adapted our programming for those bereaved families by establishing a platform of no-cost virtual grief support groups for our families. And in addition to the online support groups, Mourning Hope began offering free virtual individual counseling sessions for those who consider Mourning Hope their lifeline. And we will continue to adapt and be here for all the bereaved, broken hearts in our community. So on behalf of Mourning Hope and the United Way, I want to personally thank you for your past and future gifts to the United Way Impact Fund. Through your generous donation, organizations like Mourning Hope and dozens of other critical local agencies will continue to support community members in need. Because the reality is that grief has not stopped because of a global pandemic. Neither has Mourning Hope. Neither has the United Way. Our collective programs and services are needed now more than ever. Thank you so very much.